How do you see people actually interacting with this technology in the near future?
Cleo, everything that moves will be robotic someday, and it will be soon. The idea that we'll be pushing around a lawnmower is already kind of silly. Maybe people do it because it's fun, but there's no need to. And every car is going to be robotic. Humanoid robots, the technology necessary to make it possible is just around the corner. And so everything that moves will be robotic. And they'll learn how to be a robot in Omniverse Cosmos, and will generate all these physically plausible futures, and the robots will learn from them, and then they'll come into the physical world, and it's exactly the same. A future where you're just surrounded by robots is for certain, and I'm just excited about having my own R2-D2. And of course, R2-D2 wouldn't be quite the can that it is and roll around. It'll be R2-D2.
C-3PO.
Yeah, it'll probably be a different physical embodiment, but it's always R2. So my R2 is going to go around with me. Sometimes it's in my smart glasses. Sometimes it's in my phone. Sometimes it's in my PC. It's in my car. So R2 is with me all the time, including, when I get home, where I left a physical version of R2, and, whatever that version happens to be, we'll interact with R2. And so I think the idea that we'll have our own R2-D2 for our entire life, and it grows up with us, that's a certainty now. Yeah.
I think a lot of news media, when they talk about futures like this, they focus on what could go wrong. Mm-hmm. And that makes sense. Yeah. There still is a lot that could go wrong. Yeah.
We should talk about what could go wrong so we can keep it from going wrong. Yeah.
That's the approach that we like to take on the show is what are the big challenges so that we can overcome them? Yeah. What buckets do you think about when you're worrying about this future?
Well, there's a whole bunch of the stuff that everybody talks about, bias or toxicity or just hallucination. Speaking with great confidence about something it knows nothing about. And as a result, we rely on that information. Generating, that's a version of generating fake information, fake news or fake images or whatever it is. Of course, impersonation. It does such a good job pretending to be a human. It could do an incredibly good job pretending to be a specific human. And so the spectrum of areas that we have to be concerned about is fairly clear, and there's a lot of people who are working on it. There's some of the stuff related to AI safety requires deep research and deep engineering, and that's simply it wants to do the right thing, it just didn't perform it right, and as a result hurt somebody. For example, a self-driving car that wants to drive nicely and drive properly, and just somehow the sensor broke down or it didn't detect something, or made it too aggressive turn, or whatever it is. It did it poorly. It did it wrongly. And so that's a whole bunch of engineering that has to be done to make sure that AI safety is upheld by making sure that the product functioned properly. And then lastly, what happens if the AI wants to do a good job, but the system failed? Meaning the AI wanted to stop something from happening, and it turned out just when it wanted to do it, the machine broke down. And so this is no different than a flight computer inside a plane having 3 versions of them, and then so there's triple redundancy inside the system, inside autopilots, and then you have 2 pilots. And then you have air traffic control, and then you have other pilots watching out for these pilots. And so the AI safety systems has to be architected as a community such that these AIs, function properly. When they don't function properly, they don't put people in harm's way, and that there's sufficiently safety and security systems all around them to make sure that we keep AI safe. And so there's the spectrum of conversation is gigantic, and we have to take the parts apart and build them as engineers.
Jensen Huang, the CEO of Nvidia, recently came out and shocked everyone with his outlook for the future of the company, especially after China's DeepSeek AI took the stock to a heavy tumble. What sets this apart and sends shockwaves through the industry, especially impacting giants like Nvidia, is the startlingly low development cost that DeepSeek boasts, a fraction of what it typically takes to harness such cutting-edge AI technology. But let us take a deep dive into how Nvidia's CEO sees the future of Nvidia in 2025 and beyond. Welcome back to Investocracy.
It's about this moment that we're in right now is that we no longer have a lot of the technological limits that we had in a world of CPUs and sequential processing. And we've unlocked not only a new way to do computing but also a way to continue to improve. Parallel processing has a different kind of physics to it than the improvements that we were able to make on CPUs. I'm curious, what are the scientific or technological limitations that we face now in the current world that you're thinking a lot about?
Well, everything in the end is about how much work you can get done within the limitations of the energy that you have. And so that's a physical limit. And the laws of physics about transporting information and transporting bits, flipping bits and transporting bits. At the end of the day, the energy it takes to do that limits what we can get done. And the amount of energy that we have limits what we can get done. We're far from having any fundamental limits that keep us from advancing. In the meantime, we seek to build better and more energy efficient computers. This little computer, the big version of it was $250,000.
Can I pick it up?
Yeah. That's little baby digits. Yeah. This is an AI supercomputer. The version that I delivered, this is just a prototype, so it's a mock-up. And so the very first version was DGX-1 I delivered to OpenAI in 2016, and that was $250,000, 10,000 times more power, more energy necessary than this version. And this version has 6 times more performance. Wow. I know, it's incredible.
We're in a whole new world.
And it's only since 2016. And so 8 years later, we've increased the energy efficiency of computing by 10,000 times. And imagine if we became 10,000 times more energy efficient, or if a car was 10,000 times more energy efficient, or electric light bulb was 10,000 times more energy efficient. Our light bulb would be right now, instead of 100 watts, 10,000 times less, producing the same illumination. Yeah, and so the energy efficiency of computing, particularly for AI computing that we've been working on, has advanced incredibly, and that's essential because we want to create more intelligent systems, and we want to use more computation to be smarter, and so energy efficiency to do the work is our number one priority.
DeepSeek achieved what they achieved by utilizing less powerful GPUs that are compliant with U.S. export restrictions, a critical move given that companies like Nvidia face prohibitions on selling advanced chips to China. Nvidia, typically revered for its top-tier GPUs and strong market positioning, found its immense profit margins and market dominance under scrutiny. After all, how could a small company, sporting fewer than 200 brains, possibly spend such a small amount to match the giants using Nvidia's older generation chips? But before going on with the video, are you into cryptocurrency? If so, check out our second channel, Investocracy Crypto. We bring you breaking news, expert analysis, and the latest trends in the fast-moving world of digital assets. Whether you're a seasoned crypto investor or just curious about the future of finance, we've got something for you. Click the link in the description to subscribe to Investocracy Crypto now. Don't miss out and stay ahead of the game. Now, let's get back to the video.
Is that you are a person who makes big bets on the future. And time again, you've been right about those bets. We've talked about GPUs, we've talked about CUDA, we've talked about bets you've made in AI.
Self-driving cars, and we're going to be right on robotics. And
this is my question.
Yeah,
what are the bets that you're making now?
Omniverse. The latest bet, of course, we just described at the CES, and I'm very, very proud of it, and I'm very excited about it, is the fusion of Omniverse and Cosmos, so that we have this new type of generative world generation system, this multiverse generation system. I think that's going to be profoundly important in the future of robotics and physical systems. Of course, the work that we're doing with humanoid robots, developing the tooling systems and the training systems and the human demonstration systems and all of this stuff that you've already mentioned, we're just seeing the beginnings of that work. And I think the next 5 years are going to be very interesting in the world of humanoid robotics. Of course, the work that we're doing in digital biology so that we can understand the language of molecules and understand the language of cells, and just as we understand the language of physics and the physical world, we'd like to understand the language of the human body and understand the language of biology. And so if we can learn that and we can predict it, then all of a sudden our ability to have a digital twin of the human is plausible. And so I'm very excited about that work. I love the work that we're doing in climate science and be able to, from weather predictions, understand and predict the high resolution regional climates, the weather patterns within a kilometer above your head, that we can somehow predict that with great accuracy. Its implications is really quite profound.
NVIDIA emphasized that DeepSeek's success signals sustained demand for its chips within China, marking a significant revenue stream. This response from NVIDIA and similar sentiments from analysts form a narrative contrary to the initial doom and gloom. Daniel Newman from the Futurum Group labeled the sell-off as an overreaction, noting that efficient computing could enable companies to reduce costs while enhancing earnings per share. But before going any further, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
It is really cool. You know, we're fortunate that we've created this instrument that is a time machine, and we need time machines in all of these areas that we just talked about, so that we can see the future. And if we could see the future and we can predict the future, then we have a better chance of making that future the best version of it. And that's the reason why scientists want to predict the future. That's the reason why we try to predict the future in everything that we try to design, so that we can optimize for the best version.
So if someone is watching this and maybe they came into this video knowing that NVIDIA is an incredibly important company, but not fully understanding why or how it might affect their life, and they're now hopefully better understanding a big shift that we've gone through over the last few decades in computing, this very exciting, very sort of strange moment that we're in right now where we're sort of on the precipice of so many different things. If they would like to be able to look into the future a little bit, how would you advise them to prepare or to think about this moment that they're in personally with respect to how these tools are actually going to affect them?
Well, there are several ways to reason about the future that we're creating. One way to reason about it is suppose the work that you do continues to be important, but the effort by which you do it went from being a week long to almost instantaneous. That the effort of drudgery basically goes to zero. What is the implication of that?
Despite the recent turbulence, NVIDIA remains a formidable force. Companies with vast resources like NVIDIA typically navigate challenges and emerge even stronger, often advancing innovation in the process. What are your thoughts on this intriguing development? Let's discuss. Finally, if you would like to know what companies like NVIDIA have been up to these past few days, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.